Hello again, everybody. Here for part 2 of Black Walnut Dye, or making Black Walnut Dye. A few hours have passed. The water is lukewarm. I'm still processing as I go, but it's starting to get to be about the color of black coffee. The dye itself is about the color of black coffee, and my hands, oh, the sun's changed positions. I can't see as well unless I get behind the camera, but yeah, you can see I'm starting to get really dark thumbs. Especially my thumbs have gotten very dark, but yeah. So at this point I'm going to start the first sort of items. So here is a pure white t-shirt. Just going to throw these in. They're going to be my smithing shirts. But before I start, my bandana that I showed at the beginning has been in there for about an hour before the dye's even really up to strength. This is just the dye as it's come up to temp. And you can see side by side how much color it's already taken up compared to the background of the white. I'm going to keep going for a lot longer, but I just wanted to show you, even before it's boiling, even before it's really extracted fully, you're already getting a lot of stain out of these. So anyhow, I probably should wash these first, but like I said, this stuff's so strong, it really isn't such a big deal. All right. I don't feel any cardboard in the middle. Some companies will ship cardboard in the middle. We're just gonna stuff it all under the surface. Now, of course, you can treat this like tie-dye. If you know anything about tie-dye, you can, tie it up in knots in certain ways so that it has more or less exposure in certain places. You can do all that, certainly. There's nothing stopping you. However, I just want to get the color soaked into them. I like kind of a random mottled look. Of course, the more scrunched up they are, the tighter you pack them in, the more there's going to be corners that don't get covered. So I try not to do anything too excessively. But yeah, we're just going to keep processing and chit chat while I do. I've got a pile of shelled nuts piling up. The water in here is nowhere near hot enough to cook anything yet, so I would still consider any nuts that I'm shelling here to be raw, which raw is what I want for storage usually. For nuts, these need to age a while before being cooked, so anything that actually gets cooked I wouldn't consider worth really saving to eat. That's just me. But yeah, just sit here and work on the process. But yeah, if you don't wear long gloves, your hands are going to get stained up just like mine. This stuff has a lot of iodine, I've mentioned time and time again, I'm sure. So black walnut holes are sharp, and they have cut up my hands in a number of places as I've been working, and I can feel that iodine in every cut for sure. So even if you don't care about getting yourself covered in dye like I don't care, that may be something else to consider. Do you really want to deal with the stinging sensation of the iodine? I don't care all that much, but I have weird nerve issues to begin with. So someone who's a little more sensitive, or maybe someone who's just a little more sensical, will probably be better off actually just doing things the logical way and wearing some kind of gloves. But I just keep working. See, other stuff I can talk about to share good information. So this stuff is, what's the word, storable. You can take these green holes and dry them, or just take the dry holes and dry them. And you can save this dye to make whenever you want more of it. You can totally do that. A lot of people do. I find I get a more potent dye from the fresher ones, so I'm mostly here for the green. This was an underdeveloped nut. The nut inside's actually empty. I can feel it, and it doesn't want to separate off, so I'm just going to take a few chunks off of it. But that was just mostly a green walnut. If I wanted to, I could do all of them that way. I could just sit here and peel them off instead, but to me, I feel like I get way more done way faster doing the cut and pry kind of method I've been doing. And I feel like I get the nuts a lot cleaner too. But I am really tearing up the sides of my left thumb from this prying motion. It's cutting into my thumb. So again, gloves probably are a smart choice here. But bit by bit, we'll keep working through it. Hopefully this long form content is alright. I know I mostly make shorts anymore, but long form was my original goal, because I want to teach, I want to share my information. But yeah, for those of you who are coming to this channel who aren't normally here, you're just here because of the Black Walnut Dye, that's fine, but I sort of do permaculture gardening, sort of growing with nature rather than against it. Some other terms for that are starting to pop up, it's like regenerative agriculture, things like that. No dig. I don't really do all no dig, but I try to keep my digging to a minimum. I also am a blacksmith, so you know, if you're looking for a blacksmith that does some custom content, custom work, might want to make a comment or find my Etsy shop, Speedy Snail Steelwork. Also, if you want a shirt dyed in this stuff, I'm going to be doing a very small, very limited run of Black Walnut dyed t-shirts. So those will become available very quickly over the next couple weeks. As soon as I have a couple of them done, I'm probably going to do like 5 of each of the most common sizes, like small, medium, large, probably extra large. But you know, if there's a lot of interest, if I sell them quickly, I may do bigger sizes next year, or more variety in general next year. But yep, we're just gonna keep working away, keep breaking them down. The fire has burned down a whole lot. I may take a second to just stoke it back up. There's a mostly dead invasive honeysuckle bush right nearby me. I can just walk over there and pry off some pieces. But yep, it's just gonna be sitting and talking with me for a bit. Hope you guys don't mind it. But yep, bit by bit we're getting semi-clean nuts that we can set off to the side, and more dye getting darker and darker. So that's the basics of it. It's not rocket science, it's not difficult. It's just kind of time consuming if you're trying to shell the nuts like I am, but it's really not difficult. You could have a bunch of kids sit around and do this easily. You could have a bunch of older folks sit around with the kids and do this. You know, if you want to live an old-fashioned lifestyle, you're trying to learn the skills necessary, or if you're a doomsday prepper type guy learning the skills necessary, this is one of those things you could relegate to people who are not physically up to larger tasks. I think that's a important thing that a lot of people in those sort of communities don't talk about, is you kind of have these like dudes that want to learn how to do every single skill there is, and it's fine to learn how to do them, but knowing what to relegate to who. You know, you plan to help a lot of people, well, there's a lot of ways that you can make those people help you in return. Oh. A lot of jobs that you can do. Trying to get this fire going a little bit more. Right now it's just kind of sitting and smoldering. Just smoke in my face, really. But, yeah, I mean, historically, especially on smaller scales like this sort of would be a job that everybody would be helping out with. you know, maybe have the older kids, the teenagers going out and gathering, and then you'd have those that are too young to be gathering by themselves, or too old to be getting out there and doing all the stooping and bending that it takes to gather them. You know, everybody's got a role. Everybody's got something they bring to the family or to the tribe. That's one of the many things I feel like we've lost in the modern day. Everybody has to know how to do everything and has to be doing everything. We don't split up our labor or split up our jobs efficiently. But still, I enjoy working with my hands. I enjoy learning this process and sharing this process. But yeah, don't think that you can't do this process because you're older or too young or too old. You know, this can be done by anyone. Anyone can be taught this. I wish I had been taught this as a Boy Scout compared to so many other things that were prioritized. I mean, I think in Boy Scouts I had to take a rocketry class. I don't like rockets. I don't know anything about rockets. But, you know, you learn what is being taught. You don't learn what you want to learn sometimes. But I would recommend, you know, sharing these living skills, these learning skills with family, with friends, with those that have an interest. You know, I feel like a big thing that a lot of people are missing is not a lot of people have the feeling that they are competent or capable of doing anything for themselves anymore. So any skill where you can do something for yourself really has a profound mental effect on the mind. It makes you feel so much better to know you are capable of something. Something more than the daily grind. Get up, go do what you're told, come home, go to sleep, get up and do it again. You know, do something that you enjoy. Do something that maybe no one else is doing. I made a historical batch of wine at one point. Don't remember how to pronounce it, but pretty much everybody who has made it in this century made it as part of a scientific test to see if we could bioengineer it for use, because it would be making use of a byproduct we barely touch anymore. I made it because I was curious about how it tasted and why people used to make it, and I quite like it. But after I made it, I eventually kind of realized I'm one of 100 or 200 people alive who have ever done it. Used to be commonplace, but anymore, no one had made it. And that's just an amazing feeling. Now, I won't say that this is such a rare skill that only 100 people have done it, or a few hundred, but still I'd say there's only a few thousand people alive that have done black walnut dye in their lifetime today. So it's an old skill that we can foster and enjoy. You know, the color, the light tans to dark browns, depending on how you do it, they make great camouflage. They blend in early spring, fall, winter. They all blend in pretty well out here. There's only a few times out here that you would really need a whiteout suit to blend in. We don't tend to have snowfall and stick for long periods out here. So you wouldn't need a whole lot of all white clothes. And really, green and summery colors are only really around in open areas anyways. Once you get into the woods, these brown colors actually hold up kind of year-round in the temperate woodlands where I'm from. So, black walnuts as a dye actually have a function. They're not just for looks. Every time I think I'm getting somewhere with actually shelling them all. It seems like there's just so many more I missed. But bit by bit, I'm getting through them all. The dye should certainly be strong enough at this point to work. I didn't need as many as I've got, but this way I'll have black walnuts to shell and eat later. There's one that shelled out really well. Yep, you can see very jagged edges. They're very tough nuts. So, all right, well, you've been sitting here with me for another 15 minutes. I thank you for your view time, but let's pull those shirts up and take a quick peek. Oh, here we go. Reach way down in, and yeah, it's certainly a start. They're not white anymore. They match almost the color of my skin for where I'm past the dye, so they're not pure white anymore. Still, they got a long way to go, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it again, keep shelling them, keep working on them, and I'll show you all how that process is going in a few more hours. See you then, everybody.